Good morning. Today on Spotlight, we'll focus our attention on Michigan's crumbling infrastructure. How long can we put off what everyone knows is a problem before it swallows us up economically and perhaps even physically?
And yes, to fix the damn roads.
Yes, that's something we heard for the past several months. Fix the damn roads. We'll talk to an infrastructure expert, John Hiltz, president of OHM Advisors. And later on this program, Leah Smith and Bruce Milan will bring us up to date on the leadership transition for the historic Detroit Repertory Theater. It's Sunday, November the 25th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. Mr. Hiltz, welcome to Spotlight.
Thank you. Very much appreciate the opportunity.
It's good having you. A simple question. How glad are you and your firm that everybody seems to be talking about infrastructure? It was the name of the game on the campaign trail.
I think certainly OHM Advisors were very happy that it's a spotlight of discussion, but I think the entire industry, quite frankly, is happy that infrastructure has continued to rise in its focus. Here in Michigan, certainly across the U.S. as well. It's been great. Much greater awareness.
Before we jump head over heels into the problem, give us a brief overview of OHM Advisors and what you do.
We call ourselves the community advancement firm because we have a large number of areas of expertise that we offer that help to advance communities. We help them try to focus on their vision and then help them figure out the types of improvements, whether they're vertical or horizontal, above ground or below ground, architecture or engineering, to try to help them bring those visions to life.
Your specialty is infrastructure of one type or another?
Our area of infrastructure would be transportation, water, sanitary sewer, waste treatment. We have a large number of engineering services that we provide in this specific area of infrastructure.
Headquartered here, started in 1962. You're third generation, you told me?
I'm third generation, yes.
But you're not just in the state of Michigan.
No, we are actually in 3 states. We are in Ohio and Tennessee as well.
All right, very good. That gives us a good overview. How bad is the problem? We keep seeing that survey every year where the American Society of Engineers gives us a ranking, and I think what I've seen the last few years is D+.
That's correct. That's the latest grade that we've received, and I laugh about that because I think that all of us, had we continued to get D's, we would be in big trouble.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the plus really means. You know, a D is a D.
A D is a D, and probably I would still be grounded to this date. So actually, it's a problem. It was quantified also in Michigan, in the 21st Century Infrastructure Report done by the 21st Century Infrastructure Commission a couple of years ago.
Governor Snyder called for and pulled it together.
Almost 2 years ago now, December 2016, that report came out. About 27 people in that commission, and they quantified it to the tune of about $4 billion annual investment that we're falling short.
That's a huge number.
There have been other opportunities where grants and so forth have gone to communities to put infrastructure in, but the long-term maintenance is something that is really tough to fund. And we have tried to avoid in making the level of investment that's required. And that lack of investment has started to cause problems.
What do you think the chances are that we will fix it, we'll get off of that D+? The campaign slogan all along for the last several months was, fix the damn roads. The person that said that is now the governor-elect of this state. What are the chances that she'll be able to fix the damn roads?
Well, very optimistic again that the idea that infrastructure and roads in particular need to be addressed. One of my big emphasis is that it can't just be the roads. And I think that people are generally understanding that the problem goes beyond the roads, that it's the underground infrastructure, that it's the sewer locks, that it's our electric grid. It's these types of things that have to be addressed globally. And the $4 billion addresses more than just the 2.7 shortfall in roads. But if you're in a situation where you've got underground infrastructure and you're just investing in the road, that investment is probably going to be wasted. You really need to start beneath and make sure that you're dealing with the whole situation. Parts of it are economic impact, parts of it are public health and welfare. When you talk about what's our chances of making this all happen, I think it really comes down to, can our politicians come together and realize that this is bigger than party issues?
Well, the governor says she'll go to the legislature first, and if the legislature, and they can't work it out between the two sides, then she'll go to the people.
And I think that at some point it's going to be additional dollars, whether it comes from new user fees or whether it comes from a reallocation of the current budgets that we are seeing. There's no question it's going to take more money.
But nobody likes taxes.
Nobody
Politicians
likes
don't
taxes.
want to run on raising your taxes. The consumers don't want to hear that their taxes are being raised, but yet everybody is concerned and griping about the potholes in the roads. Everybody is talking about the water quality. We just had the situation in Flint. We've seen sinkholes in Utica and other places, so it's happening.
That harsh reality is something that I think is a tough lesson learned, but it's costing us, whether we think it's costing us or not, whether we avoid paying it in the right way or we pay it in the wrong way. Because when you end up with a sinkhole, now there's major dollars that end up coming back to the users through one way or another. So, and the same, so I think that we need to do is we need to look at the proper way to fund, the proper way to maintain. Always cheaper to fix than it is to replace, always cheaper. So the fact is that when we avoid applying the right level of dollars at the right time, the price tag continues to grow until it becomes a catastrophic problem that we're now dealing with. So we are paying for it. And we, the voters, I think, have also given our legislators mixed messages. Fix the problem, don't charge us. We're getting charged, we're paying, whether we believe it or not.
All right, we need to take a little break. We'll come right back. We'll talk a little bit more about the funding structure and the problem as a whole. We'll be right back. Is fixing this infrastructure an investment, or is it just something that's going to be a drain on our society and on the taxpayers?
It's clearly an investment. It's clearly an investment in our public health and welfare, and it's an economic driver as well. The infrastructure report made a declaration, and I'm going to read some of the figures here. $1.6 billion investment in state highways and bridge infrastructure annually would create or sustain 18,000 jobs. By doing so, you're going to drive $1.5 billion annually in real personal income and an additional $1.1 billion annually in economic, avoiding economic losses.
So there's an argument that it's a job creator.
A job creator. So you're getting every dollar back through another means by that investment.
All right, you know the public is suspicious. You get to operate in Michigan, Ohio, Tennessee. How do we compare with Ohio? Because you know the joke around here. You know when you're driving to Ohio, you know the second you cross the state line because the roads get smooth. The weather's the same. Why do they seem to have better roads than we have here in Michigan?
They have been making a larger investment in their roads. So if you look at the surrounding states, and I believe could be a per capita number, but we're at like 1.6 and the national average is like 1.9%.
So you get what you pay for.
We are spending less, clearly.
All right. I oftentimes hear people say, yeah, but I don't trust the workmanship, that it seems like we're repairing the same roads over and over and over again. And are we using the type of quality materials that other places are using that may have same weather or even worse weather? Well,
I think to also complement that, I think also the concern is whether or not, what do I want to say here? That our DOT and our road commissions are doing a good job. And I think that they are. I think that the problem that they're faced with is that they just don't have enough to work with. Mm-hmm. And so what they're trying to do is really spread the peanut butter. They're really trying to take what they have.
Patchwork when they really should be perhaps taking the whole road up in doing it right from the first place.
Absolutely. I think there is no question that in many cases, the DOT or the road commissions, the local communities, would love to replace roads, and instead they find themselves trying to patch it, trying to string it along, because they just don't have the funds to go around.
Are we using the best materials, or could we be using better materials, but that of course perhaps is going to cost more?
It's going to cost more. What I'd love to see is that as we move forward, I would love to incent innovation, innovate new materials, innovate new methodology, new geometries. We looked at new geometries in interchanges like the diverging diamond, which was a new interchange model that drastically reduced the overall cost of a full interchange replacement, about half. When that model works, that's kind of an innovation that has come to the US and now has come to Michigan. It's a great way to show that says we can reduce the overall cost by innovating.
Is Michigan getting its fair share in the midst of this very partisan debate?
We are still a donor state, which as we went through the last recession and as we saw how hard Michigan was hit, we're still a donor state. The dollars that we send to Washington are a little less than the dollars that we get in return. I don't know when that came to be, but I know that that still exists. So are we getting our fair share? A little less than I'd like to see, but overall, I think we all are looking to Washington to do something more. The problem is if we keep waiting for Washington, we can't wait. And if we look for innovation, for solutions, that will be outstanding, but we can't wait. There are some traditional models that are in place today that we should begin to implement today. Local has to take care of local, because also federal dollars aren't going to necessarily help you on your residential side street. There is some cost sharing that comes from the state to local government, but at the end of the day, local government needs to address their local. State, we should start to address our state. We just can't keep waiting for somebody else to do something.
Mr. Hiltz, we've been very dependent upon the gas tax. We're hearing a lot of conversation now, though, Ford, GM, the other automakers, about mobility. That is all about mobility. So that's going to be changing just the type of vehicles we use, how we use these vehicles. So that old formula that we've been used to, is that going to work as we head into the future?
No, I think it's becoming obsolete. I think the fact that gas is going away and a lot more electric vehicles are coming to play. The more that the electric vehicles come into play, then how is it equitable for people who are buying gas to pay for the roads, but the cars that are driving with electricity are not? So the fact is that we've got to change that model.
Final question. I got a ton of them. Unfortunately, we can't get to all of them. Final question that I hear people always writing us about. They say, yeah, but it's the trucks. It's the weight limit of the trucks. It's per axles, and we allow more than other states surrounding us, and that's the problem, and why don't we address that?
I think that could be part of the problem, but I don't think it's anything close to the problem. I think that's the problem that we're looking at here collectively, is that we're all looking at one type of solution, and it's not going to be one size fits all. There are so many different things that we need to focus on simultaneously. As I mentioned earlier, the underground infrastructure is something that we absolutely have to address. The stormwater, there is no funding mechanism for stormwater today. Drinking water, sanitary sewer, all of these things are issues that have to be addressed simultaneously. So are trucks the only part of the problem? No. Are they a part? Certainly they are.
One quick final question. Can a governor get reelected by being, quote unquote, the infrastructure governor? Or is that not sexy enough to get reelected?
That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I think it's time.
All right, so we'll make a to be determined on that question. John Hiltz, thank you so much for coming in and keeping a watch on infrastructure in this state as well as other states, and we'll get you back.
Thank you very much.
And coming up, we'll turn our attention to a Detroit gym and a changing of the guards, so to speak. We'll be right back. Stay with us. And welcome back to Spotlight. Joining me now is Bruce Milan. He is the artistic director of the Detroit Repertory Theater, and seated next to him is Leah Smith. She is the marketing director at the Rep. welcome to Spotlight.
Thank you.
Usually when I see the two of you, it's down at your place, and now I finally got you out here, so that's a good thing. Let me start with you, Bruce. 61 years you've been involved with the Rep, but you're making a transition here, and you're getting some help from the Kresge Foundation, about to the tune of what, $500,000?
Yeah, they've started it with a $50,000 grant.
Okay.
And,
this is about what? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
This is like a 3-year transition, slowly turning the reins over to Leah?
Let's put it this way. We're trying to do it in 3 years. If it takes a little longer, we'll go with that. But the main thing is that we make a transition to a new team of visionaries.
Right.
That doesn't have to go backwards.
You want to keep going forward, not go backwards.
And also give it a reasonable chance of survival.
Absolutely. How old are you now, Bruce?
Well, I'm 89.
89, okay. It's time for you to just kind of rest up a little bit, even though I know you still have some hands in this. Leah, this is going to all fall in your hands at some point. You ready for this?
Hey, ready as I'll ever be. Yeah, absolutely.
You've been involved with the Rep since 2003?
2002, yes.
Okay.
I acted in a performance in 2001 that was my introduction to the theater and fell in love with the Rep.
And the rest, they say, is history.
Correct.
You've been with it ever since.
Yeah.
Where do you want to take the Rep? I know this is a transitional period. It's going to take a little bit of time, but what's your vision?
It needs to continue. There's a new generation out there that we want to reach. I want a team of the new visionaries who believe in diversity acting in unity.
Yeah. Bruce, what's unique about the Rep? For the person that doesn't know, and I know a whole lot of people out there, they've been there, they know it, but if you're just new coming to town, or perhaps you've never been there before, why is the Rep so unique?
Well, it's not unique in the sense of being a theater. It's unique in our mission. And we started our mission from day one in 1957. And there are a lot of people saying, hey, you were a pioneer. But our mission is diversity, acting in unity, and that's been through a lot of periods where the whole question of diversity was questionable. Even today, it's somewhat questionable.
And we should say that your theater performances, they're all integrated. Your audiences are integrated, yet you're smack dab in a predominantly African-American Detroit neighborhood, and you've always remained there during good times, bad times, and you're determined not to pick up and move.
No. Well, there was a belief that theater should be embedded in the community it serves. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have a wide variety of people who come to see our uniqueness and our ability and our strong issue-oriented plays, and but that's par for the course.
Well, you've lived off of your reputation. I want to rush to a little break here. When we come back, Leah, I want you to talk about some of the people that have come through the Rep and have gone on to fame, and how you've used that as a growing talent in the theater business. We'll be right back. Leah, the Rep is the longest serving repertory theater, nonprofit professional theater
in the state of Michigan.
Yes,
we are. The very
get
first
all those qualifiers
1957 nonprofit professional theater.
What has kept it going for so long, and talk about some of the artistic talent that has come through the Rep.
What has kept it going so long is we have been very embedded in the community, and it's apparent. People can see the truth that we really wanted to create a theater truly for the people and by the people and about the people of the city of Detroit. Southeastern Michigan, yes. There is no theater that has truly done that. There is possibly other theaters across the country.
What does theater do for a city?
It tells the city that culture matters. Culture is important. It makes a city where people have the time and the energy and the desire to go and yes, have fun, but get enlightened, learn about other people. The biggest benefit, if you will, of theater is it teaches us empathy, as all arts. But performing arts is different, bringing a group of people, a lot of strangers together in an intimate setting, forced to sit next to each other and travel this emotional route for 2 hours in a dark room with other living beings right in front of you has a powerful effect. We invite the mayor to the theater.
Has the mayor ever been to the theater?
I can't speak for him, but I have never seen him there.
How can you be the mayor of this city and never been to the Detroit Repertory Theater? That's an invitation.
Yes,
Mayor
it is.
Douglas, and you got to get over there if you really want to sell this city and all that's about this city.
Right.
Rep is an institution.
It certainly is. Obviously, we have a reputation internationally, musically, in the city of Detroit. I know the visual arts world has been getting attention over the past. Before the revitalization of the city of Detroit, the visual arts community was strong. We also have a very vibrant theater scene here.
Yeah, you can go to any other city and people in the theater, and you mentioned the Detroit Rep Theater, and they know about it. If I go to Woody King in New York, he knows about the Detroit Rep Theater and so many others around the country.
Yeah.
All right. Keep up the good work. Wishing you the best of luck in the future.
Thank you.
Bruce, wishing you the best of luck. Any big plans as you kind of ease somewhat into retirement, or are you just not going to ease?
Keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. All right, that's a good model. And we want to thank you at home for joining us. I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the spotlight. Have a good week and get down to the Detroit Repertory Theater. Have a good day.